Okay, guys, we are going to start our trigonometry unit today. Remember, trigonometry is the study of triangles. So I've got some examples here when trigonometry is used. So for example, the angle of the shot in hockey, or when you're using triangulation. So for example, with cell phone signals. So a cell phone signal bounces off of 3 different towers. So each black spot is a tower. Where those 3 intersect is the location of that cell phone. So when you're using your Find iPhone feature, that's actually what it's doing, and it's doing triangulation. So in grade 10, we discovered, we looked at trigonometry, but we looked at it from a right angle triangle perspective only. So in grade 10, you had 2 pieces of information. You had Pythagoras, and you had what's called SOHCAHTOA. Okay. In grade 11 trigonometry, we expand beyond right angle triangles. And so we look at how to find missing angles and missing sides when you don't have a right angle triangle. Okay, so for today's lesson, we're just going to review exactly what we did in grade 10, just keep it as straightforward as possible, and then in the subsequent lessons, we're going to go into the new stuff. So the first thing I want to do with you is review Pythagoras. So Pythagoras is really good for finding a side length when you know the other 2 sides. So right angle triangle. So when you go across from the box, we label this with the letter C, and it is the hypotenuse. Now the hypotenuse is the longest side. And then the other 2 sides we label with just A and B. And Pythagoras says C squared equals A squared plus B squared. Now the hypotenuse has to go here. Okay, so the hypotenuse has to go by itself, then the other 2 sides go on the other side. Now a couple of things with Pythagoras. You can only use it on a right angle triangle. If you try to do it on a non-right angle triangle, you'll simply get out a wrong answer, but you won't know that it's wrong. Okay, so it can only be used on a right angle triangle. Okay, and then the other thing is you have to have 2 sides and you find the third. Okay, so if we just do a couple quick examples here. So here I'm looking for this side. So again, across from the box. So actually what I'm looking for is the hypotenuse. So I'm looking for the hypotenuse, and then I just put the other 2 sides in on the other side of the equation. So using my calculator, I go 12 squared plus 8 squared. I get out that. So we get square root. Sorry, so C squared equals 208. So to get rid of the squared, we would square root both sides. So then you go square root 208. So you get 14.42. Now, you know that the hypotenuse is the longest side. So 14.42 is longer than 12 and 8. So we're pretty sure that we did it right. So for this one, we're looking for this side right here. So first things first, we have the hypotenuse. So that means we know that the side that we're looking for has to be shorter than 30. We know that. So when we're plugging into our formula, so again, you don't have to write out the formula. I'm just doing that to show you what I'm doing. So the hypotenuse has to go on this side. I'm just going to say x squared plus 24 squared. So I'm trying to get x by itself. So I'm going to minus the 24 squared from both sides. So what I have is, whoops, x squared equals, so I'm going to go 30 squared minus 24 squared. And I get out 324. And then when I square root that to get the x by itself, I get out 18. So if we just look back at the picture here for just a quick second, so it looks right? This has to be the longest, so this is shorter than 30, and so we're pretty sure that we did it right. Okay? So the new piece of information that we did in grade 10 was SOHCAHTOA. So SOHCAHTOA, what we use it for, so again, first things first, you can only use this in a right angle triangle. Okay? And you use it when you have one side and one angle, and you're looking for other sides and other angles. Okay? So stands for sine, opposite. So it's SOHCAHTOA. So it's opposite over hypotenuse. Ka stands for cosine, adjacent over hypotenuse. And T stands for tan or tangent, opposite over adjacent. So when you're doing SOHCAHTOA, first thing you have to do, and by the way, this thing stands for the word theta. It's just a symbol that we use for angles. You could use a question mark or X, it doesn't matter, but typically in trig we use theta. So what you have to do in trig is you have to make sure that you know where you're standing. So let's say if you're told to stand at this corner, then the first thing you have to do is label the sides in reference to your position. So across from the box is the hypotenuse. All the way on the other side of the triangle is opposite, and right beside you is the adjacent. So there is the O, the A, and the H. Okay, now I'm just gonna, if you have your triangle, and let's say your theta is up here, okay, again, across from the box is your hypotenuse, all the way on the other side is the opposite, and right beside you is the adjacent. So you need to be able to label those three sides before you can do any type of trigonometry, any type of button pushing. Last thing is a calculator thing. You want to make sure that you are in degree mode at all times when you do trigonometry. So how you figure that out is on your calculator on the top row you see the word mode. So click that. Notice right now the word radian is highlighted. We don't want radian highlighted, we want degree highlighted. So you hit the over arrow to get degree flashing, hit enter, and then go second mode, so quit out. Now when I go back to mode again, there's degree, okay? So even when you turn off your calculator, it will stay with degree highlighted. So you just have to do that the very first time, and now it's good to go for the whole unit, okay? So there's two things we can find. We can find angles and we can find sides. So really the only difference is how we punch these into our calculator. The thought process that we use to do each of these is exactly the same. So we have the word SOHCAHTOA. So whoops, I'm just going to write it big here. So SOHCAHTOA. And again, all of these triangles are right angle triangles. You can only use this on right angle triangles. Okay? So first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the missing angle. So we're going to find theta. So for the first example, this is where theta is, so that is where I stand. That is what I am looking for. So the first thing I have to do is label the sides in reference to my position. So the 7 is right beside me, so that is adjacent. The 5 is all the way on the other side, so that one is opposite. Now I use the word, let me just change this here. Now I use the word, I'm looking for the O and the A. So the O and the A is right here. So then I use the tan formula. So we go tan theta equals, now it's TOA. So the O comes first and then the A comes second. Now this is what I refer to as your setup. You must show that on your page every single time. So you don't need to write out the formula, you just need to write it out with the numbers in place. All of these questions have to have their setup shown. I need to see exactly what you're doing because everything else after this step now is just going to be button pushing on the calculator. So the way we do angles on your calculator, so if you're looking for an angle, what you do on your calculator is you're going to hit the button second, and then you're going to hit whatever trig key you need to hit. So in this case, we would hit the tan key, okay? You're going to be immediately prompted with a bracket, and then you take your side length and divide it by your side length. Finish off the bracket, hit enter. So for this one, we're going to go second tan 5 divided by 7. Hit enter, and we get 35.5 degrees. Now in trig, they always tell you how to round, but we're just going to keep everything to one decimal here. Okay, so another example. Again, this is what I'm looking for. That's where I stand. So the 6.5 is right beside me, so that's adjacent. The 9 is across from the box, so that one is hypotenuse. So now look at your word. You're looking for the A and the H. So the A and the H is right there. So that means I'm going to set it up using the word cos. So you go cos theta equals, now it's A over H. So A over H. So again, I need to see that on your page. Now we're going to plug it on our calculator. So we're going to go second cos 6.5 divided by 9. You get out 43.8. Okay, one more. So again, this is what I'm looking for, so that is where I stand. The 7 is all the way on the other side, so that stands for opposite. This one's across from the box, so that is my hypotenuse. So if I look through the word, O and H is found by the letter S, so it's sine theta, and it's opposite over hypotenuse. So again, I need to see that on your page, and then I need to see the answer. So we're going to go second sine 7 divided by 12. You get out 35.7 degrees. Okay, so that is how we find missing angles using right angle trig. Okay, so what if we're looking for sides? So we go through the exact same process. We're going to use SOHCAHTOA, but how we plug it in on the calculator is going to change. Okay, so this time you will notice, whoops, let me go here. This time you will notice that you don't have a theta. So what you do in this case to figure out where you're going to stand, you stand at the corner that you're given. Now, if you're like, well, I'm given two corners. I'm given the 90 and the 42. Okay, you're never allowed to stand at the 90 degree. When we use SOHCAHTOA, you're not allowed to stand at the right angle. The reason for that is, if you were to stand here, you've got the hypotenuse, but you've got two adjacents. You don't have any opposites. And that's a problem because you're not going to be able to set these things up right. So you're never allowed to stand at the right angle. Okay, so I'm going to stand at the 42 degrees. Now I'm going to label the sides. So the X is all the way on the other side, so that is opposite. The 14.5 is right beside me, so that is adjacent. So I'm going to go opposite and adjacent is tan. So I write tan 42 degrees. Now it's OA, so it's O on top, A on the bottom. So O on top, A on the bottom. So in grade 10, what I showed you how to do was I said put this side over 1. So now what we have here is we have two fractions equal to each other. When you have two fractions equal to each other, we call that a proportion. When we solve proportions, we cross multiply and divide. Okay, so that's how you do side lengths. It's cross multiply, cross multiply and divide. So how do you know which direction to cross? So when we're figuring out which direction to cross, the cross multiply happens on the one that doesn't have the x. So this cross is 1 times x. This cross is tan 42 times 14.5. So the one that you actually do the cross on is the one that does not have the x. So the one that does not have the x is this one. Okay? So on your calculator, what you're going to do is you're going to go tan. Now, as soon as you hit the tan key, it's going to be prompted with a bracket. You're going to go 42, and you have to finish off that bracket. And then you're going to go times 14.5. So you cross multiply, then you divide, and you divide by the number left over. Okay, next thing, do not hit second. When you hit second, that is for finding angles. So you hit second trig when you're looking for the angle. You just hit the trig key when you're looking for a side. Okay? Last, will dividing by 1 change the answer? No, dividing by 1 has no effect. But getting you in the habit of doing cross multiply divide, sometimes it just helps just to plug it in. So again, this is your setup. This is what I need to see. I do not need to see this. So you're going to go tan 42, finish off the bracket, times 14.5, so there's your cross multiply, and then divide. So you get 13.1. So x equals 13.1. Now, if this was given as side lengths with like centimeters, you would have to put those units in. Okay, So look at another one here. So we're going to stand at the 37 degrees because that's the angle that I'm given. So this one is across from the box, so that is your hypotenuse. This one's all the way on the other side, so that is your opposite. So O and H is sine. So we're going to write sine 37 equals opposite over hypotenuse, and then we're going to put this over 1. So that is what I need to see on your page. Now look at your two diagonals. Which one does not have the x? That one. So on your calculator, you are going to go sine 37 bracket times 19 divide by 1. So you're going to go sine 37 bracket times 19 divide by 1. And you get out 11.4. Okay? Okay, let's look at this guy. So again, stand at the angle you're given. Label the sides. So this one's right beside you. This one is across from the box. So when you look at SOHCAHTOA, A and H matches the cosine. So it's adjacent over hypotenuse. Put this over 1. So that's what I need to see. Okay, now look at your two diagonals. Which one does not have the x? This one. Okay, so this one does not have the x, so that is the one that you multiply. Okay, so on your calculator, you're going to go 1 times 8.75 divided by cos 55 bracket. So again, you multiply the diagonal that does not have the x. Now, if you're going, yeah, but 1 times anything doesn't affect, so can I just go 8.75 divided by cos 55? Yes, you can. Some of you like to do that. Some of you go, nope, I just want to cross multiply, divide. So cross multiply and divide. So again, don't hit second. And you get out 15.3. Now, on this question specifically, because you're looking for the hypotenuse and you know that the hypotenuse is the longest side, we can see that we ended up with a number bigger than 8.75, so we're pretty sure that we did it right. Now, if at any point in time, guys, you want to try these, you're welcome to pause the video and try it before I jump in. Okay? So last one here. So we're going to stand at the 24. The x is adjacent to me. 27.9 is all the way on the other side of the triangle, so that's opposite. O and A is tan. So we're going to have tan 24 equals TOA. So opposite over adjacent. Put this over 1. That's what you need to write on your page. The diagonal that does not include the x is this one. So on your calculator, you are going to go 1 times 27.9 divided by tan brackets 24. Again, don't hit second because you're not looking for an angle, you're looking for a side. So 1 times 27.9 divided by tan 24. So we get out 62.7. Okay, so plugging in side lengths are a little bit trickier than angles, but again, cross multiply, divide. Okay, what if we have two triangles? So I'm looking for side length B here. So the advice that I gave you in grade 10 was the first thing that you do is you separate the diagram into right angle triangles. Okay, and there'll usually be at least 2 of them. Okay. Then you come up with a plan. Now, normally what that plan involves is finding a common side. So just to show you what I mean here. So my 2 right angle triangles are this one. There's my first right angle triangle. And this one. Okay. Now, if I jump to my ending spot, I'm going to have to stand here. This is on the other side of the triangle, so that's my opposite. I need another side. I either need this one, or I need this one. Now, this is the one that I want to find because this side on the green is the same as this side on the yellow. So now I can use my yellow triangle to get to me where I want to go. So if I jump over to my yellow triangle, this is where I stand, okay? This is the one I'm looking for. So it's all the way on the other side of the triangle, so that's opposite. This one's right beside me, so that's adjacent. So I'm going to start with the yellow triangle. So I'm going to go opposite and adjacent is tan. So I'm going to go tan 48 equals opposite over adjacent. Put that over 1. Okay, now if you don't want to write the word opposite, you want to write the letter X or a question mark, you can do whatever you want. So cross multiply and divide. So again, multiply without the letter. So on your calculator, you're going to go tan 48 bracket times 86 divide by 1. So I need to see this, I don't need to see that. So tan 48 times 86, times 86 divided by 1. Okay, now here is the difference. In 10C, I allowed you to round that answer, and then you use that rounded answer to get to the next step. In 20-2, you are not allowed to do that. You are not allowed to round intermediate steps. You have to keep all the decimals there and then use your calculator's feature. So here's what I mean. So you can write this as 95.5. And I would go ... So now I'm going to jump to my green triangle. So I know I'm going to stand at 51. I know the side B is opposite. This one is across from the box. So now it's become the hypotenuse. So O and H is sine. So I'm going to go sine 51 opposite over hypotenuse. Now, I'm going to write in the 95.5, but I'm going to go ... to show that I am going to use the entire decimal. So again, put this over 1. This is what I need to see. So you're going to multiply the one that does not have the letter. So this is the diagonal that does not have the letter. So on your calculator, you're going to go sine 51 times, now we need to use that entire number. So I'm going to write in ANS. I'll show you what I mean here in just a sec. And then I divide by whatever's left over. So on your calculator, you have got this feature. So with that answer displayed of the 95.5, I'm now going to go sine 51, finish off the bracket, times. Now, right above the negative key, you have written in blue ANS. So to activate it, I'm going to go second, and I'm going to hit that key. Whoops. So what that does is it takes that answer from the previous line and puts it in that spot. And there it is. So my answer is 74.2. Now, if you're running the TI-84, the other option that you can do, and this is for TI-84s only, you can go sine 51 times. Now, instead of using ANS, if you hit your up arrow, you can highlight the answer that you want to use. So if I hit enter, it will put it in there, and it will give me out the same answer, 74.2. Okay, so TI-84s don't have to use the ANS key. They can just hit the up arrow, whereas at TI-83s, you have to use the ANS. Okay, so in 20-2, we expect you to use the previous answer. You're not allowed to round it. So that is our review of Math 10C. That took us about 6 days to learn in Math 10C, and we just reviewed it in one quick lesson. So make sure that you are doing the assignment here to get this stuff fresh in your head. And then we will, starting on next class here, we will start into the brand new stuff, which is the non-right triangle trigonometry. Essentially, there's 3 formulas. Again, we give you the formulas. You've just got to figure out when you should be using which formula. It's pretty simple stuff, but like I said, we're going to practice it together and go from there. We'll see you in the next one.